What are we ready to do? Yeah, so today's presentation is just a review of the last presentation in which we were learning the gene. Yeah, so we are still looking at the Vespa studies. So we are still revising those studies, and we have covered almost so far 10 Vespas, and this is the 11th, of which we will be looking at the study of gender, how it has been handled from uh, down to Darkin, who is whom we normally call Richard. Yeah, so this study is not new. It has been in the movement, maybe you can say since 2022. That's when the test presented this study. So, uh, so as I'm standing here in front of you, I'm just like directing like which direction we should go. Yeah, so that means when I call for your participation, you should participate. Yeah. So specifically, this study is dealing with the modern atheism, and we have been learning about atheism almost for, if I'm not mistaken, about 4 studies so far. And the question we should ask ourselves is, why are we learning about modern atheism? Why have we taken so much time discussing about the modern atheism? So in today's presentation, which will be, I will not give all detail like it was being presented, but I will just try to summarize some points which seems to be more important to me. So, and the purpose of this study is just to try to answer like how these people, because previously we have been learning about modern atheism, how it started, and how these 4 horsemen have been uh, uh, embracing sexism. And so we'll try to demonstrate how they defend that sexism or that misogyny which they hold to. Yeah. So, and to do that, I will just give a quick review of these studies concerning modern atheism, or on how we get to these studies of atheism. Yeah. So through the Vespa studies, one thing which I want us to understand is that we have been learning the midnight cry message. Yeah, and I like when I'm presenting concerning the atheism, going to Vespa number 3, where we learned that in 2018, God wanted us to shift in terms of political spectrum where we should be. Yeah, we started learning that there are two political spectrum. There is the right wing and the left wing. Then in 2018, it was a call for the movement to shift from this side to the other side. Then we have been learning like what caused. So we have been learning and revising some of the studies which caused us to shift from being from the right wing to the left wings. And some of the studies we talked about the piracy, yeah, also the study about the republicanism, and many studies. But the one which I'm interested in is the midnight cry message, specifically looking at the two streams of information. So as we are learning about the left and right wing, we are just learning about the two streams of information and which is the two side, and we have to choose which side we want to belong to. Yeah. So we have been learning these studies about the political spectrum. And as we were learning, we came to the understanding that, or the reason like why God wanted us to move from the right wing to the left. So in the second Vesper, if I'm not mistaken, God tried to give some reason why, and in those studies we looked at the ethos of the right wings, yeah, and the ethos of the left wings. And at the end, we find that the fundamental principle which differentiate between these two uh, political spectrum, we find that the other one, they believe in two principles, which is equality and freedom. But when these two principles collide, the left, they will uphold equality instead of freedom. But when you talk of the right wing, you find that they uphold freedom when equality and freedom collide. They believe in freedom and they believe in equality, but they will not, they can say if it is women, they can have all the freedom, but when it comes to equality, they will say if women are given the equality, that means men will need some freedom. Yeah. So through that we came to the understanding that when you look at the nature of God's kingdom, it's about the equality. Therefore, it was important that God approached to understanding that we should see what these two political spectrums they live in. So that's where we started. Then further, as the studies developed, we came to the understanding that as we are talking about the Sunday law, yeah, of which I can go back to on the line of the 144, which is the increase of knowledge in 2019. God gave a message to the movement, which shows that as we are expecting the Sunday law, it's not about the Sunday Sabbath, but it has something to do with the issue of gender, the things which are happening before our time will end. Yeah, so from that perspective, we started to understand that when you look at this issue to do with gender, we came to the conclusion that it's the issue which everyone in the world will be tested, yeah, upon that, as compared if you say it's Sunday Sabbath issue. So through the studies, we try to demonstrate that, therefore, previous we have been giving much attention to the Protestants, learning about the Protestants. Why? Because we thought they are the one who are going to bring the whole issue about the Sunday law. But we, through the inches of knowledge on the line of the 144, we came to the understanding that the test is not about the issue to do with Sunday Sabbath, which is in connection with the Protestant, but it's something else. So from there, we started to learn that the problem of this, what we are calling, which is instituting the Sunday law, is not coming from the Protestant, but also from these uh, other groups, other movements in USA. And to establish that understanding, we came to the article, yeah, which we read something which gave us, which I write some important points about the right wing. So that article, it was, if I can remember, it was a Vox article. And through what that Vox article, we started learning about one, we discussed about Marx. Yeah, and in Marx, we see what is thought about the gender. Yeah. And we find that in Marx, we find that there are three things which are in one person. Yeah, and those things, as you read further that article, you find that that article talks about that there are these three groups which it addresses as the Trinity, the Pharaoh's Trinity, which are on the forefront to push what is called, termed as the secular misogyny. And we find that those groups, that's where we find the libertarian, the men's right, then you also find that there is a modern atheism. Yeah. So in further studying later, we went further into discussion and started learning about each of these groups or movements. We end up with the men's right, and we also discussed about the libertarianism. Then later we started discussing about the atheism, which is modern atheism. And this is the movement which we are still discussing. Yeah, so we looked on like what caused this movement to start. So there is a document or an article which we read, which gave like more information about how this movement started. And that article tried to demonstrate that this movement, which is the modern atheism, started after the 2001 in response to the 9/11 attack. Yeah, and if I can remember, that article was written, is it by, is it few more, something like that, unless I check my notes. Yeah, so those are the steps we have been going. Yeah, so after we understand how this modern atheism started, we went further again to start looking at the leaders of this movement, and we find that there are these four prominent leaders who lead this movement, this modern atheism. We find that there are four of them, and they call themselves, after they had a meeting, this is 2006 or 2007, somewhere there. They call themselves as four horsemen. And they learned that they got that name from yeah, the book of Liberation. So we started learning about what is their thinking. I mean, these four horsemen, what is their thinking about the issue of gender? So we started looking at modern atheism in the context of gender. Yeah, and we find that there is this theology which they have, or which they use in order to to defend atheism. But before I go there, we started to look at each individual, which is the four horsemen, looked at summaries and these ideology concerning the issue of gender. Yeah, and yeah, it is like view on the issue of gender. And we discussed something like how in 2014 he was being interviewed. Like when you look at this atheism, you find that there are more men as compared to women. Then he was asked like why this movement is so they are more is so attracted or appealing to men than women. Then he tried to give the answer by saying, oh, this movement is about thinking critical, yeah, on some certain issues. Needs people who think critical, the critical thinkers. Therefore, it is more appealing to men as compared to women. Yeah, so we try to learn like what was he trying to say in that response, and we find that was trying to demonstrate that uh according to the way things have evolved, the world has reached a stage where men they are in the position of like thinking hard, they are the critical thinkers, and yeah, and women they are not critical thinkers, they are not rational, they are irrational, but men they are rational. So that's briefly what we discussed about Sammy Harris. I'm just giving us briefly because at the end of the study, I'll go back again and discuss about this same people. Then from Harris, we started discussing about the Richard. Yeah, and his say also his mindset on the issue of gender, how he regards other sex. Yeah, and we saw how he tried to defend, I would say, there is this person, Michael Sham, or before I go to that person, there is a woman. Okay, there is this woman uh, who went to a certain country and was given a chance to present something. But later, as she was going back home in the elevator, we find that there is uh, a man who followed after. Yeah, yeah, there is this man who followed after her, and I started asking her that I would wish like we discuss the things which we are discussing on that panel when you were addressing how men they harass women. So she was after she went back home, then she was giving like she was giving a summary on how his week ended. Then she tried to talk about what happened in that elevator. Then she just posted like saying, no, men, please don't do that, whereby you follow her in the private, start harassing her. Then you find that after that post, Richard came up and tweet against her. Yeah, and she started uh uh accusing her like and not only accusing her, she started giving many examples like about women's from how women's lives like in Islam countries. Yeah, like they have no say, even if they are being uh mistreated, but they will keep quiet. And she demonstrated how some of them they are being stoned. So he was trying to show that even women is in short, he was trying to demonstrate that even if a woman is being mistreated or abused, she shouldn't complain. Yeah, because by nature, men they are in that way whereby they can abuse, and that's the way they are. Yeah, that's where they are. Yeah, so we see that his mindset uh is a sexist, looking at the way he responded to Rebecca. Yeah, then also on the issue of Michael, who raped a woman when she was drunk. I remember I believe you can remember that story. There is this lady who was drunk when she was driving back, she was going back home. Then she was raped by Michael Sham. Yeah, then after she complained about how she has been raped without her consent, then my same Richard again came and responded and defended Sham. Like, you women, you are like, she give blame on that lady that it was your fault. How can you know that are so attractive and you are drunk? Is your responsibility to ensure that no one or no man attacks you. Then she tried to give example of like a vehicle. If you are drunk then driving a vehicle, then you ate a stone, you can't blame a stone, you should blame yourself. So I was trying to demonstrate that men by nature, they are that way. That's the way they are born, and they can't help it. So even if they abuse women, it's just to understand them. So he tried to protect Shama, and he tried to accuse like that lady who was drunk. Yeah, so that's what we have been discussing about these four. So far, we just mentioned two, what we have discussed in summary. So far, is there anyone with maybe where you are behind, or you have a comment on what I've discussed so far or what I've shared so far? Before I proceed to these other, then from there we can went to other things. Okay. So I'll proceed. Yeah, so you find that in this community, there are some people, when they joined, they thought maybe they'll find a peace, they'll find a comfort place where they can, maybe if it is to attack religion, they can freely attack religion. But instead, in the process, they were disappointed looking at the leaders of this movement. They uphold sexism more than even the religion which they were attacking. Yeah, like there is a quote I read last time about there is this interview between it was about between Sarah and who is that one? Let me check your name. Thanks, yeah, man. Okay, there is this interview between these two women atheists. The one is Sarah Henry, then the other one is Alex de Broco. I remember I hope we can remember those names because we discussed about them. Yeah, so Sarah was trying to ask Alex, like Alex is a researcher on male supremacy. So she was asked by Sarah, like through your studies, yeah, did you let me see if I can just read. Yeah, so we have if on internet when you have free time, you can just say the title of that article is saying exposing and challenging male supremacism. Yeah, then so the interview was about Sarah Henry and Alex de Broco. All these two women, they are atheists. So the interview goes like this. So Sarah Henry says, tell me a little bit about yourself. What in your background inspired you to find the institution of research on male supremacy? So it's Sarah who was asking the other one, which is Alex. Like she wanted to find out what inspires her to start searching about the male supremacy. Then Alex answered, while my original research focused on the Christian right and the anti-abortion movements, I also worked as an activist on sexual violence issues. And starting the early 2010s, I was watching men's rights activists like Paul Erem and their victim blame rhetoric. So over time, I became more concerned with the growth of secular misogynist movements. So that's Alex who is responding. Then Salah asked another question. It seems to me that more often than not, religious dominionism, white nationalism, and male supremacy are intricately intertwined. Is that not something you found in your work? Then Alex Salah responded to the question she received this. Then she will say, uh, I would actually have to say that contemporary white supremacy and male supremacy community demonstrate more of what I termed secular misogyny, which includes what appears to be an overrepresentation of atheists with regards to their small percentage population. So I decided to go back to that quote. I was trying to say that there is this movement, its aim was to attack like religion. And when it started, many people joined the movement, thinking they will find a relief. And mostly women, they joined that movement thinking they'll find relief, but instead they were disappointed looking at these leaders who are saying they are rational thinkers. in real sense, they are misogynist. Yeah, so she's saying, looking at how atheist is, it's demonstrating more misogyny, even less as compares to a religion, So where they were expecting to find maybe comfort, that's where they start finding problem. Yeah, so I will try to highlight on that points when I'll be reading the last article concerning like and like answering like what do they use in order to defend this sexism which this modern atheism uh they hold on to. So I hope I'm the truth. Yeah, so mm, so far I've just review about these two leaders who lead modern atheism, which is about uh Sam Harris, then Richard. But on Richard, I'm not yet done because looking at the studies of today, we are looking at gender from Darwin then to Darkin, who is Richard. So for now, I will leave him like that. Then later I'll come back to him if possible, maybe in the afternoon. So so like I said in the beginning, in everything which we are learning concerning the the modern atheism, it's just helping us to understand how their belief or how this movement is connected to the studies of the Sunday law. When we say our test is based on equality, we are looking at what these people, what do this movement believe on equality. So I'm trying to cite some examples looking at what this movement, the position of this movement. Yeah, so there was the how so there was a conference which was held by atheists and it was being supported by there is this organization which I want to read about. And on this conference, they invited a certain person. Yeah, so let me see if I can read something from there. So this conference, it was held, I think it was in 2016. Yeah, 2016. It was called Mython. So I'm looking for any. So so on this conference, it was being supported by there is an organization called the Mythist. Uh, looking for where I can read. So this conference was organized by this organization which is called Amethyst Milwaukee. Yeah, I'll try to read something on Wikipedia, or I think I have something like what the BBC have said something about this conference which they had. So on this conference, they invited a certain person who is a YouTuber. Yeah. So this person whom they invited was Carl Benjamin. Yeah. Then there is something which he spoke on this conference which they had, and it was related to something which he said before, within this conference. But when he attended this conference, still was repeating or saying on the same things. And the people who were there, especially men, they were busy supporting him, and they were happy for what he was saying. So I'm looking for a quote. So I hope we are moving together. If you are behind, you can feel free to ask so that I can go back and verify maybe where you are behind. Where? Lost the quote. Maybe it's somewhere. I think I've lost the quote. Okay, so I wanted to read something about this organization which arranged this conference. Now I saved the quote now, trying to find it. Let me try to, or I'll leave it in the afternoon. I'll read it. So I'll just try to paraphrase like what was happening there. So on this conference, this Benjamin, there is some words which he used against there is this woman, British woman. Yeah, there is something which she was campaigning for concerning the uh, media women harassment. Then Benjamin responded and said, I wouldn't have left you. Yeah, so she made that statement in response to this person who was campaigning or fight for the media, or yeah, for the media not to allow people or women to be harassing women in public. Yeah. So then he even wanted to stand on a certain position, but because of his word, he was being disqualified. So when we come back, I'll give a proper detail or more detail about that from the BBC, how they said about what he said, what the meaning of what he said, which was, I wouldn't have left you. Yeah. So after he said that, even on this conference, like I said, he was keeping on saying the same thing. So he's a person, yeah, who on his, like, he has his page, and on his page you is known uh one, racial discrimination, also for his misogyny and his yeah, for those things. And on his page there is a name which he used, then that name has the origin from somewhere. So why I brought this person, I'm just all these examples which I'm giving is just to show that this modern atheism is not only crusading for against the religion, but it also have an agenda looking at this leader to attack uh, or to fight against, or in short, I'm saying they have also embraced men's rights ideology, where they have reached the point of defending men, and they have came to the point of saying that in the world today, men, they are the one who are victim, and every time their freedom is being taken away and it is given to women. So these leaders, they have came in order to fight for the rights of these women. So they mingle with different people and they embrace a lot of people so that they can spread that idea of showing like how uh, men, they have taken the rights of men. Like men no longer enjoys their right. They are the victim. Yeah. So they are there to fight for them. Then I'll try to give another example about a certain person who tried to defend his friend. His friend did something. Yeah, and that something, it was in 2008. Yeah, he's also an atheist, but he's not among those four horsemen, which I started to mention, like I've just mentioned to. Yeah. Then later I'll come back to Dennett and see his mindset and how they defend their misogyny, the tools which they use to defend their misogyny. So there is this person, Lawrence Cruz, and his friends, Jeff. Think so. So I just want to say something from Wikipedia. Then I read from there about the rural schools. So I'm finding that on Wikipedia. So so just a little background about this Lawrence. Um, So when this Lawrence is a public is an advocate for science. So he believes in science. So and his reasoning is based on science. Yeah, so this person had the sexual misconduct, and that was in 2018. So that's what I'm looking for. So according to mm, so I'm reading this from AI. in saying, Lawrence Cruz retired from Arizona State University. So he was working at the university. After university, investigate found him violating sexual misconduct policy by grabbing a woman's breast of a conference in 2016. Yeah. So he was found with this case whereby he grabbed someone's uh, uh, breast without the permission of that person. Yeah, and for that he was expelled from these schools because he was violating the the policies of the schools of the school. So now, with this mindset, he was also busy with this scandal or this case upon him. He was in front of supporting his friend and saying his friend was just, he has no problem, like what happened, what he did. And his friend, like I said, he did something in 2008, was found guilty of having sex with a 10 years girl. That is Jeffrey. So he forced himself on a on this girl who was 10 years. Then this Cruz will come and say, in fact, my friend was just okay. He has no problem with what he did, because then you say it's like this is how men they are. Yeah, this is how men they are. It's natural to them. Yeah, then he said, I think those people who were accusing him, they are the one who are wrong. But this one is just is on the right side. So let me look for Jeffrey. So I want to read the last part, then move from we move on. So just not, I think I'm not finding what I'm looking for. I'll just try to summarize. So, like I said, uh, why I brought this person in connection with atheist, or why I'm bringing these people as an example. Yeah, it's just to show like how much sexism in atheist movement. Now, the remaining part is to show what do they use, what methodology do they use to defend that sexism? What makes them to uphold misogyny? Like we have seen, Alex, according to the quote which I read, Alex said that when talk of secular misogyny, it's more represented in this modern atheism. Yeah, it has grabbed the men's right ideas by fighting against fight against women. So through the examples I'm giving, we can see how these men, how big misogyny in these men. Yeah, so this is why I'm bringing different examples is us to understand. Like at the beginning, I said that the question we should ask is, why are we learning about modern atheism? Because we have been learning about modern atheism almost for many times. Yeah, and the purpose we are learning about modern atheism is to understand the issue of equality, and how they handle the issue of gender. Why? It's because this movement, as we came to the understanding of Sunday law, they are connected to the Sunday law and the events which are leading to the Sunday law. And we came to understanding of what constitutes our test when we talk of the Sundays about equality. And looking at these movements who are busy attacking religion, they are on the wrong side. They are on the wrong side, and they claim to be, like I said, the rational thinkers. They, as the enlightenment, the fundamentalist, but you find that the ideology which is inside this movement, you find that it is on the long side. So those are the reasons why it's important that we understand about this group, because it is also part of that trinity which I mentioned at the beginning, which is about the 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 men's right movement, the libertarian, and also about this movement. So what you can see in these movements, which is this thing, despite they are different, but their ideology is just one and the same things. They just upholding something. Like when you go back to Marx, you find him saying, if women they have freedom, then we have no problem. But if we say, if they claim for equality, that's where the problem will come. Because some things which men enjoy, they will stop to enjoy. So their whole point is to defend and put men on a highest position and put women on the lowest level. So I want to go back to uh, who is this one? Daniel Dennett. Yeah, I want to go back to Daniel Dennett and give it bit information about it, about that person. But right now, I will not discuss anything about him. When we come back, we'll start from there. So start discussing about Daniel Dennett, and why have I decided to go there is we'll see there is this one thing which they use to defend what we are learning, misogyny or sexism. Not only sexism, also the season. There is this which they use, and to say the reason why men they are like that is because of this. And that's where we will start from when we come back at is it 15 with AM, PM, 3, yes. So it is 15 hours. Yeah. So if you have a question or a comment, I'll kindly request you keep it. By the time I open for the next session, I'll start with the contributions and the, yeah, comments from people before we enter into that side. So for now, we'll end from here because of the time. All I can say is thank you for your time. We'll continue at 15 hours. So close with a word of prayer. All God, we want to say thank you for the discussion. Thank you for the light which you have given to this movement, for is working as a it is working to direct us to the future, to understand the future where we are going, we are heading to. Thank you for this study about modern atheism, and thank you for helping us to see how these this movement, these movements, which is a Trinity, how they are upholding sexism instead of equality, how they are failing the test. Thank you, Lord, for this liberation, because it has come on the right time that we can be on the right side. We ask that you continue to be with us even as we go for break. Bless each one of us. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Mm, Thank you for your time. We are